Hey, kids, it's me. I bet you thought that I was dead.
Buongiorno, buonasera, good evening. Yes, I still have a podcast. Yes, it's Rocco with another episode of the BOH Podcast after a few weeks of absenteeism. I apologize, I do have a doctor's note if you need it. But unfortunately, things happen. It's called being a father. Things happen, When your kids are home, you can't do a podcast. Especially when you do the podcast in the basamento, where they like to play their games. Then you get my wife making me do things. Work stuff. Yeah, bada bing, bada boom. And 3 weeks later, you forget to, record an episode of the podcast. I'm sure many of you were worried. Many of you were concerned and wondering, what happened to the BOH Podcast? Oh my goodness. Did he just stop doing it because of low listenership? Well, yeah. There aren't that many listeners. I easily could have just stopped. But this is my therapy, ladies and gentlemen. I need this to talk just for no reason. And I'm sure you enjoy it. That's why you're still here. So we have some things to talk about from the past 3 weeks that I've been not here doing the podcast. The first thing I want to discuss is I hope everyone understands that basically, all my videos on social media is me talking to myself. It is me. I do a voiceover. First, I film the part of me talking, and then I do a voiceover of pretending to be my dad. A lot of people don't grasp that. They think that there's another comedian out there who, let's put it this way. If there was a second person involved in my nonsense on social media, and I never outed who it was, that would mean I'm the biggest piece of shit you've ever known. Because who would hide someone to not be named? Who? Why would I do that? So yes, it's only me in the videos. It's me talking to me. Granted, I guarantee you if my dad was alive, the videos would go similarly, and he would love to have taken a part in it. And a part of me knows that for the few people out there who believe that it is my dad I'm talking to, or he loves that he's getting credit for stuff that he didn't do. So he would love that beyond anything normal. He'd be basking in that glory that he's getting credit for this. So I just wanted to clear that up because, not that it bothers me, but the part of me that is listen, you don't lose both parents way too young and not have any anger still in your stomach, and I still have that. So a part of me, yeah, it gets annoying because I wish I was one of these influencers that could make videos with their family. I wish I didn't have to talk to myself in the video. But unfortunately, this is where I am. This is what I'm doing. This is the cards I've been dealt. So yes. But all in all, just want to let everybody know. So one thing that I did in these past 3 weeks that I wanted to discuss was we went to the Bronx Zoo during my kids when they had their spring break. They had a week off, and we decided, hey, let's go to the Bronx Zoo one day, and can I just say this? The Bronx Zoo is way too big. It does not need to be that big. And you can go to the Bronx Zoo and not see an animal. Because, sometimes they're just hiding. They're not there. They're asleep. They're doing this. It's just way too big. It's killing me how big this zoo is. You go there, you take 25,000 steps, only to see the lion asleep 50 yards away. The amount of time I was walking, that lion better be doing some jumping jacks or something. So while we were there at the zoo, I was like, you know what? I told my wife, I was like, I always hear about Arthur Avenue, and I've never been there. I've never been to Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. And the truth is, why I've never been there is because I'm from Brooklyn. Brooklyn and the Bronx are two separate types of Italians. The Brooklyn Italians don't need to go to the Bronx because we have basically our own Arthur Avenue in multiple places. And the Bronx Italians don't have to come to Brooklyn because they have Arthur Avenue. So we never really, met each other. That's why you don't really see many couples of Bronx and Brooklyn Italians who got married because they never socialized. Maybe they would meet in the city on an off chance, but no, the Brooklyn Italians stayed in Brooklyn, the Bronx Italians stayed in the Bronx. That was how it was. The Brooklyn Italians moved to New Jersey, the Bronx Italian moved to Westchester. That's why all the Italians I meet up here are from the Bronx. I don't meet any Brooklyn Italians up here because I went in the wrong direction. I didn't follow the map. But I went to Arthur Avenue. The truth is I went to go look for the Kinder Eggs for Easter because these things was so hard to find for some reason. No one had Kinder Eggs in Brooklyn anymore. No one had Kinder Eggs anywhere. So I had to get them for my kids because my mom always got them for them on Easter. So I wanted to keep that tradition going. So I wanted to get the Kinder Eggs. So I figured, if anyone would have it, this glorious place, Arthur Avenue, that I've heard so much about, let me go take a look. Let me see what this Arthur Avenue is about. And let me just say, I was disappointed off the bat. Not that I expected Arthur Avenue to be like this Italian mecca where you walk outside and someone just throws a sorpazzata at you, the tarantella's playing loudly and everyone's just dancing. It was because you could not find a parking spot for your life. And I thought Brooklyn parking was terrible. This Arthur Avenue parking was atrocious. They even had a parking lot for basically Arthur Avenue that was full. So I had to find I made up a spot. I had to move what are those, those large garbage containers. I moved one out of a spot to make a spot. And then I took a walk down Arthur Avenue to see what they had. And I wasn't that impressed. Granted, I'm sure the places are great. It's all quality stuff. But from what I used to hear about Arthur Avenue, I was expecting to be surprised somehow. But I get it. If you're from West Bumblefuck, and the closest thing to an Italian you see is the Italian flag that Subway puts next to the meatball marinara menu item on their board, Arthur Avenue will, blow your socks off. But if you come from Brooklyn, where you have Coluccio's, where you have La Bella, where you have Frank and Sal, you have basically Arthur Avenue everywhere. Arthur Avenue is not impressed. It's not impressive. So I went there with this high hope because I've always heard people talking about Arthur Avenue, and I gotta say, it wasn't, I was disappointed. I have no reason to go back, basically. Well, maybe I do, I don't really have much of a reason to go to Brooklyn anymore, and Arthur Avenue is closer, so yeah, I do have a reason to go back. But with online ordering now, I really don't think I need to go, and I make my own sorpazzata, which I think is better than any store-bought one. But yeah, I was very let down about Arthur Avenue. Granted, I had to stop at Calabria Pork Store because my father always spoke about this place. And I don't think he's ever been there, to be honest. I don't think he's ever been there. I think because it's called Calabria Pork Store, and he was like the proudest Calabrese you will ever meet, he just loved that place without even being there. So I had to go in there. And they had, their entire ceilings had sorpazzata hanging everywhere. My wife walked out because she couldn't stand the smell, but for me, I love the smell. The smell of... If Calabria Pork Store came out with a cologne that just smelled like the inside of their store, I'd wear it. I 100% would wear that. So I went in there, and, I picked up some soppressata because I wanted to try it. I mean, I almost never buy soppressata because I just have the ones I make myself. And it was not bad. It's not the same as mine because when they make them in a store, they can't make them like we make them homemade. We add stuff that they can't add. Like in ours, we have the red pepper sauce, the wine. I don't think theirs has that. But it was still good. Very good. So I had to do that. And basically, I did it for my dad, who always talked about this place. So I made sure to go in there and see what's up. Then I took advantage of being there and I bought some Malizia body wash. Malizia body wash is the best, guys. Oof. I wish I could dunk myself in Malizia. I would dunk myself in Malizia and then spray myself with Calabria pork slaw cologne. The combination of those two smells would probably send everyone into a seizure. But I don't care. I would do it. So that was my Arthur Avenue. Oh, wait. One thing more happened. My kids needed to buy Italia sweaters. So we had to pay way too much money for sweaters I could probably make myself on my wife's cricket machine over here. But because my kids wanted it and they were happy to get it, we bought it. And we got totally ripped off. Totally ripped off. But hey, it's Arthur Avenue, guys. You always got to pay more at Arthur Avenue. That's just how I imagine people talking about it. So, Arthur Avenue. If you have never been near a real Italian store, then yeah, go to Arthur Avenue. If you grew up in Brooklyn and had, access to places like La Bella, Frank and Sal, Coluccio's, it's not going to impress you. I didn't get a chance to try the restaurants there. One day I will. I'm sure they're good too. I just went there to just stop by a few stores. Another thing I did in my podcast hiatus was we started looking for vacation spots for this summer to go away as a family. Originally we were supposed to go to Disney World in Florida in August. Yes. My wife notoriously is trying to kill me by taking me on vacations in hot places during heat waves where I'll probably die of heat stroke. And her attempt this year was to take me to Florida in August. And I told her, I said, listen, it could be the greatest vacation ever, but I ain't going to enjoy it because walking around in Florida heat in August, no shot. No shot. So she's like, let's find something better. What got her to say this was the flight to Florida in August was probably more than the entire vacation we were spending to stay on Disney property. So it got her to be like, all right, let's find something else. So I started looking like a beach vacation, stuff like that. And why is this got to be so difficult? Why is it so hard to pick vacation spots on these Caribbean islands and stuff? First off, they all look alike. Every place you look, they all look alike. But you're so scared to pick one. Because one of them will be one of those horror movies. Where you go there and there's cucarachas in your freaking bed. And there's a lizard up your ass when you're taking a shower. And you could get kidnapped by a cartel or something. So you're scared. You need at least 4 people to vouch for a place before you pick it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a sick animal like that who can't make a decision. But it was the hardest decision I had to make. How do you pick these places to go to vacation? Every picture would look the same. And you look what can my kids do? There's water parks, stuff like that. So, long story short, we're going to the Bahamas. Grand Hyatt, Baha Mar. If anyone's ever been there, let me know what you think. If anyone has connections down there, let them know that I'm coming. so maybe I can get some VIP treatment. Because I am not someone to say no to some VIP treatment. So it brings me to my final topic of the day. And it's something that is the reason why I think I need a vacation. And basically, it's kids' sports. Kids' sports. Yes. Kids' sports is stressful enough to make you need a vacation. And it has nothing to do with the kids. The kids in kids' sports is the easiest part. It's the parents. It's every adult that has to do with kids' sports that makes kids' sports the hemorrhoid I never wanted. But yet, I have to do it. I have to coach my kids. My kids love soccer. I love coaching them. I don't want them to learn anything wrong, so I want to coach them. That's the problem when your kids love soccer and you're in like West Bumblefuck. There is not a lot of people that you can trust to teach your kids the right way to play soccer, so you coach yourself. But the parents are just the most stressful part. You know, you don't want to upset anyone, and people. Here's the thing, and maybe it's just me that maybe not that I. If my kid sucks, I know they suck. Here's the thing, I know my kids are bad at stuff. Like, my kids play travel baseball. I don't think they have any business being in travel baseball. They're not good at baseball. They're maybe mediocre, but they're not good. They'll catch a ball. If you throw a ball at both my sons and they're wearing a glove, they're gonna catch it 3 out of 10 times. Maybe 5. All right? If my kids could barely pick up the bat and swing correctly, and they're using the smallest bat possible for baseball. So my kids don't really belong in travel baseball. Like, if someone said to me, hey, your kids are not good in baseball, they shouldn't be on the travel team, I'd be like, great, no problem. Understood, sir. We'll go home. Let us Italians go play soccer like normal people. But some parents just don't see it. Like, their kid will be out there doing the wrong thing the entire time. Their kid will be out there not listening, touching the other players, teasing other players, in their face, joking around, and the parents just sit there, they're having fun. Like, listen, watch your kids. See if your kids aren't doing good. And listen, I'm not saying that they have to be out there being Ronaldo, Baggio, and stuff like that. As a coach, the only thing I want to see is effort. And that effort could be a shitty-ass player. But effort is what I want to see. I want to see you trying. Listen, if you are the worst soccer player in the world, but you're giving it 100%, oh, I love you. I love you. But if you're out there and you're the worst soccer player in the world and you're giving 2%, I want to strangle air. I want to just like look at your parent and be like, can you please take the kid home? If they don't want to be there, don't make them be there. But yes, kids' sports is probably the most stressful part of my life right now. And it's because I don't want to hear stuff from parents. Like, I tell people a lot. Here's the thing. I can be uncomfortable. I know how to be uncomfortable and keep that shit to myself. But when I have to start hearing complaints about other people, and then I have to play middleman to those complaints, I cannot do that. It's literally kids' sports, guys. It's like, I want to see my kids do amazing, and I want them to have fun, and I want them to learn to love soccer as much as I do. I don't fill their heads up with fake notions that they're going to go and play for Inter when they grow up. I say, listen, if that happens, it's great. You just keep doing your best. That's what I tell them. Do I yell at my kids like I'm Saki on the sidelines? Of course. But before every game, I tell them strictly, I literally look at both my kids before every soccer game and say, listen, one, Daddy has to yell because if I talk regularly, you're not going to hear me on the field. Two, Daddy's not yelling at his son. Daddy's not yelling at you guys. Daddy's yelling at the soccer player. And I'm not yelling mad. I'm just yelling because you have to hear me. And they understand that. And if you ask my kids if that say Daddy doesn't get mad at me at soccer, Daddy's just yelling because that's what he has to do. And right after the game, I forget. I tell them what I think they did, what I think they did great, what I think they need more work on, and then we go on and we go home to play Fortnite. We go home to watch whatever's on TV. That's it. But it's the other parents that I can't deal with. And if I could find like a perfect, listen, in these 2 weeks, another reason why I was doing the podcast is because of kids' sports. I almost walked away from coaching because I didn't want to deal with parents anymore. And that's strictly why out there you find kids with too many players on teams. Is because nobody wants to be a volunteer coach. Because they don't want to deal with parents. Parents have these blind, unrealistic notions of their own kids, and they think they deserved this time, and they think they're owed it. They think that they're owed. Listen, I know it's youth sports, but a part of it does need to be earning your right to play. Especially when you go into travel. Rec, yes, everyone needs to play. But I do believe in travel sports, you have to earn the right to play. I don't think it should be enforced like you would with adults and teenagers. But the notion of it needs to be introduced. Because, I don't know. Hopefully it becomes less stressful. I have to say personally, I get stressed out before these games. And has nothing to do with the game. It has everything to do with the stuff around it. I worry. Listen, my first game is on Sunday. Am I worried about how my kids are going to play? No. Am I worried about my kids losing? A little bit, only because these kids have been crying when they lose, and I hate when they do that just because I feel terrible. So that's the only part of me wishing that they win. But what keeps me up at night and gives me a hard time sleeping is worrying if I don't play a kid enough, that I have to hear their parents. Worrying if this teenage referee makes a bad call and I have to have parents yelling at this teenager, and then next week we have no referee. Third, the other coach being an asshole. I worry about if the other coach is going to be an asshole who takes his job way too seriously or lies. Because in youth sports, you also have this. You have people who lie about the quality of their team to play lesser opponents so they can blow them out. So they could tell people, hey, join our team, we're undefeated. So I worry about everything else but the game. And that's what youth sports is for volunteer coaches. So next time you see an email and you see why is there so many kids on a team and not enough coaches, this is why people don't want to be coaches. Everyone wants to sit there and watch. No one wants to take charge. Because parents and adults ruin things. They ruin everything. They give me agita. And that's basically it. On that note, I bid you adieu. We'll speak soon. Hopefully it won't be another 3 weeks until my next podcast. But no, we should be back on track. So I'll talk to you soon. I hope everything's good. State buona e ciao.